Hi friends, welcome back to Shelby in the Book Club. I am Shelby Monet, and in today's video we're going to talk about a memoir that is going to stay with you for the rest of your life because it's sticking with me. I have thought about this memoir every day since I finished reading it. I've already decided on the tattoo that I'm going to get from it because it has just been so inspiring and so real and like heartfelt. We are going to talk about Scenes from My Life by Michael K. Williams. May he rest in peace. If you would like to hear more about his life and what I felt about this book, then here you go. So I guess I should start with my love for Michael K. Williams first. So my first experience with him is in his role as Omar in The Wire. If you've never seen The Wire, you should absolutely watch it. It's a phenomenal show from the beginning to the end. I actually feel like it's one of HBO's best endings. I feel like HBO does a terrible job at ending shows, and The Wire is one of the exceptions. So I always knew him as that character. And the first time that I saw him out in public, before I knew what his name was, me and my mom, and some of her friends, my Uncle Stacy, my Uncle TC, and we were at a house music festival in Newark, New Jersey that happens every summer. And I look over and he is dancing. Do you hear me? Like I can't even really explain what watching him dance was like. And I said to mommy, I said, oh, we better get out of Dodge because there go Omar. And she had watched she had not watched The Wire yet. And it became my favorite thing to do whenever we would go to these house music festivals, whether it be in Newark or Brooklyn. My favorite thing to do was to spot him out and to watch him dance because you could just see his energy radiating off of his body. It was amazing. So I say that to say this is someone that I've always looked at and admired from a distance, right? I think he is a phenomenal actor. And when I heard that his memoir was coming out, I said, oh, I definitely want to read that. I want to learn more about him. And I feel like sometimes you read memoirs and it either makes you continue to love the person, or it kind of warps your view on them, right? And this made me love him even more. And I feel like even though death is hard, and it's something that we all have to face eventually, but for him, I hope he rests well. I think he did a lot of his work, and I feel like we've gained a phenomenal ancestor. So the book starts off with him being at let me go. Look, I've highlighted so many things in this book. So excuse me, the co-author wrote a phenomenal note, and then the introduction is by Mike himself, and the first sentence of this book says, way before I was anything or anyone, I was an addict. That was my identity, what people thought of me, if they thought of me at all. And I feel like that's the best way to set the tone for this book, that goes on to talk about his journey through life, his journey through finding himself, his continued journey with addiction, because he did pass away from a fentanyl overdose, if I remember correctly. And he talks about how the closeness to the edge, like the notion that it could all be over in a blink of an eye, is what kept him pushing, right? So he grew up in Brooklyn in the projects with his mom, who is from Barbados. And one of the first things that he talks about is how the Rhythm Nation music video like changed his life, and that's what made him realize he wanted to dance, right? But because of his mom, like, dancing wasn't on the list of things to do. Like, he needed to go to school, he needed to, you know, get a real job. Like, the arts wasn't it. And to listen to a black man openly talk about struggling with his sexuality, with being bullied, with being the exact opposite of what black men are portrayed to be, is powerful. Black men are seen to be violent and killers and murderers and the big bad black man, right? And here was this dude who wasn't a fighter. His mom was constantly comparing him to his older brother because their complexions were different. So, you know, he was the bad dark-skinned one, whereas his brother was the good light-skinned one. That was something that stood out to me a lot too, how he internalized the things that his mom said to him, to make him feel like he wasn't enough, which I don't think parents always say how their kids are not listening to them, when the opposite is actually true. We are listening to you. Every little thing that you say about us, we hear. When you think we're not listening, we are. And you should be cognizant of that. So just the way that he internalized that, and how he kind of was always trying to prove his worth somehow. Whether it was, you know, always having weed to smoke so that the kids thought he was cool, whether it was acting out, whether it was, you know, when he finally did find his little group of friends and dancing with them, and what that did for him, and trying to be cool for them, you know, like, he was doing all of these great things and could be all of these great things, but he didn't see that in himself because he could only hear what his mom was saying in the back of his head. Like, he didn't know his self-worth. And, you know, he started using drugs at a young age, and then had his bouts of addiction at a very young age, like 20, 22, like young. And you know what? That's probably the story for a lot of people. I feel like I'm the goody two shoes that like didn't smoke weed for the first time until I was like 25. My mama wasn't gonna kill me. That wasn't gonna happen. But he talked about how he got his scar on his face, and how, you know, like, so prior to that, like, he had some modeling gigs, he was dancing, he was getting stuff, but he was blowing his money. So it was like, because of how the entertainment business is, it was like he would get a decent amount of money, he would blow his money, and, you know, then leads would slow down. He wouldn't, you know, have another thing for a while or whatever. And he was like blowing it on drugs. He talks about how he got the scar on his face, and how, you know, it was him trying to be the tough guy that he wasn't. But it still seemed to open up doors for him. Like, even though this really bad thing happened to him and he saw himself as ugly, it still opened up doors for him. Like, his life is very much a personification of everything happens for a reason. What stood out to me the most, especially because I loved him as Omar, is that he wasn't at all a tough guy, right? Even though he grew up in the hood, he was not at all you know, a fighter or any of that kind of stuff. So he's portraying this character that is literally a hitman, a gay hitman at that draws out this fear in everyone. Just Omar will walk down the street whistling what is that song, The Farmer in the Dale? And niggas was scatter. Do you hear me? Omar coming, get out of Dodge, okay? And he talks a lot about how he would, not just in that particular role, in other roles as well, it was an opportunity for him to be somebody that he had always wanted to be, right? But he was able to take from these experiences in his life to become this person, to dig deep. But then he talks about how that will also lead to him going on a bender too, because your mind doesn't do a good job at separating, or your mind can't tell what is real life versus you acting. So how he was such a phenomenal actor, but because he was losing himself and having to like dredge up all of this trauma to portray these parts. So he also was in this show on HBO called One Night, I believe it's called. Let's see if I can find it in here. But it kind of leads to him hold on one second. Can I find I can't remember the name of the show right now. I think it's called One Night. I think it is. But it's about a boy who gets caught up in something, goes to jail, and has to learn to fend for himself in the justice system that is trash. But parallel to him being a character on this show, his nephew was wrongly convicted and put into jail for most of his life at a young age. And it talks about how these experiences kind of snowballed him into, you know, doing all of these things to give back to his neighborhood. He talks about that a lot. Like, why are we leaving the hood? Why are we not reaching back and helping our people? Like, where are we going when we leave? And why are we leaving? Like, how can we help if we're not there? And that was powerful to me, because here was this man, like, you think of an addict and you think of the man sitting on the edge of the street, sitting on the corner asking for money, right? You think, oh, that sketchy looking person that I'm hold my purse tighter to me because I don't know what he gonna do, or whatever the case may be. That's who you think of. When in all actuality, your favorite actor, your banker, the lady bagging your groceries, those are addicts. And I'm not saying that I agree. I think they should get the help that they need to handle their ailments in a better way, right? To handle the things that ail them in a better way. But they are everyday people that want to help and fix things. And Michael K. Williams used his power to do that. The one of the last pages of this book is a list of organizations that you can donate to. He used his experience. He used his his faults to try and change the world and to make change, you know. Like, there was another show that he did on Vice where he was like interviewing these kids that were like scammers and doing all of this stuff, and he was like, you know, it's crazy that they would tell us all of these things, but it's a cry for help. And he talks about visiting all of these schools and like not lecturing children, but actually listening to them, because they are living these things that we could not imagine, like losing their friends to gun violence and how that's like normal to them. Or like the one boy that he had met, they had like took him out to dinner with them or something like that, and the boy like went on this Instagram page, and he was like, yeah, in our city, like, we got this Instagram page to see like if any of our friends have like died or anything like that. And he was just like, that's not okay. It's not okay. And to them it's normal. So it's really got me thinking, like, we need to help the babies. The babies need help. And in order for us to help them, we have to accept who we are and our shortcomings, and we have to face our shit so that we can help them, so that later on they can reach back and help us. It's a vicious cycle, but this book was so powerful. The one quote that has stuck with me from this book is, fear stops the flow. Fear stops the flow. Fear stops the flow. And I was like, I need that tattooed on my wrist so I can see it every day. Fear stops the flow. I am in awe of the man that he was in all the stages of his life. I am in awe of him, and I'm grateful that we got to experience him and all his pain and all his glory and all the things. I think what's also powerful about this book is to realize that these people that we glorify are human. They are addicts. They are depressed. They have trauma. They are us. We are them. We got to remember that. We got to remember that. Because I think we hold them up on this high pedestal because they're doing things that we think we can't do. But we can. And the proof is that they are doing it. That's the proof. That's all the proof that you need. That's all the proof that you need. They did it. We can do it too. So I think everybody should read this. I think this is a must read. I think everybody should read this book. And I think you should put it in the hands of your kids too, because they need to be able to see that it is possible for them too, and that there are people out there that care about them, that are willing to help them. They just got to ask. Because I think a lot of us don't realize the things that they're going through because we live in the hood, because we're not reaching back. We don't realize the things that they're going through, but they need us. They need us. So if you would like a copy, you can get one from showmeinthebookstore.com. I will link it down below in the underneath bar. If you've made it this far in this video, leave a black heart in the comments and let me know if you have read it, or if you plan to read it, or you plan to purchase. You can also get it on Libra FM as well. I will link that down below also as well. And yeah, if no one told you today, I love you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye guys.